Hello and welcome to today's episode of Orion Now. Glad you joined us. Hope you're surviving these crazy winter conditions that we've had here around Orion Township. Hope we'll take the next 30 minutes and tell you about some really exciting things happening in town. So, a few great guests today on our show. Our first guest is John Spokaeski, who is a Citizen of the Year. We'll welcome him in a moment. And then we'll be joined by Ken Nuss, who is the principal of Orion Oaks Elementary, and Michael Crank of Crank's Catering with an exciting announcement here at our Orion Center. So stay tuned for this episode of Orion Now. Welcome back. I'm pleased to welcome my first guest, Mr. John Spokaeski. John, thanks for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Happy to have you on the show.
Thank you.
So the big news happened in December. Citizen of the Year was announced, Mr. John Spokaeski. So I don't know how that happened. I kind of wanted a recount. No, I'm kidding.
No, I don't either.
But you've been around for a few years. I think you were telling me you came to town in 1984.
That's correct.
You, the Tigers won the World Series, and John Spokaeski came to Orion Township.
That's correct. That's what happened.
It was a good year. I don't know if that was the right order. So anyway, so tell me. So let's start kind of at the most recent. So you got a phone call from somebody in the parade group, was it, that told you that they'd nominated you and picked you to be the Citizen of the Year?
That's correct, and I try to hide out on it.
I know. The one thing I know about you is you are a behind-the-scenes, low-key guy. You do a lot of great things for our community, but.
Yep.
You really don't look for the credit. So thanks for coming on and letting me grill you a little bit here, and try to give you a little bit of credit. So why did they tell you they picked you? I mean, I know a lot of reasons, but
Well, I guess probably the biggest part is Clarkson's the Scamp. You know,
Right.
I've been working away. I throw a picnic for them every year. There was 26 years that we do it every year. My son and my daughter and some of my grandkids, we just do it every year because that's what we do. We call them our kids.
that's all. So SCAMP stands for, I looked it up, it's just like special camp, basically.
That's correct.
So it happens, it's 5 weeks out of the summer,
Yep.
every summer. And what type of kids are we talking about?
They call them challenge kids or special needs.
Okay.
You can't, they keep kind of changing,
Right.
every year or every couple of years, but they're just wonderful kids.
Yeah, and I've heard from some of the parents who send their kids to the camp who just rave about how amazing it is and how they get an opportunity where a lot of these kids don't normally have these opportunities.
No, that's correct.
So how'd you get involved? Well, first of all, you were in the parade. I had people say to me, "Where was John? I thought he was supposed to be in the parade. You were there."
I was all covered up at the back of.
Maybe we'll show some footage here because I know we got footage of it.
Yeah.
And you were there, but you were covered up. You look like like a bump under a blanket.
That's correct. It was cold.
It kind of went with the way you like to roll anyway.
Yeah, right.
Undercover. So you were there. How'd you get involved in SCAMP? I mean, that's a great organization, but how'd you figure out about the group?
I joined, all like the Elks and the Moose and the Elks, North Oakland Elks, they were doing this for these kids. And back in '87, I started working with them. And Waste Management, we kind of bought everything, all the food, and every year we give them something like yo-yos or Frisbee, something different every year,
Right.
and glasses. They call these glasses all different colors. Kids call them sexy sunglasses because they're all different colors. I mean, it's totally amazing how these kids work.
So the connection between you and Waste Management, you mentioned Waste Management, that's how you kind of came to town, right?
That's correct. We, a group of us, we leased that property from Jack Weber, and then we sold out to Waste Management, the group,
Okay.
and I stayed on.
Right. So you were a consultant for Waste Management. When did they?
I absolutely run it for 17 years.
Okay. So you were the man.
I was the man.
So what I love about that is that, and still to this day, Waste Management, the landfill, it's kind of a bad word in some circles, but I can tell you that there is so much good that comes out of the group of people that not only worked there back then, but work there now. They do a lot of great things for our community. So
yeah, and I still have my son, my daughter-in-law, my grandson, and a son-in-law that work there yet.
Really, they still do.
They still do. I had 6, 7 of them when I was there.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So let's talk. So SCAMP. So you were involved in waste management, started the landfill, and then ran it for 17 years. So you got involved at some point. You wanted to get involved, and you found SCAMP.
I found SCAMP through Elks, and then we did it every year. And I mean, we had there was 400 or 500 kids there at one time. They were from everywhere.
That's amazing.
I mean, they just they just come from everywhere. Buses come from everywhere.
So so now you do host this picnic every year.
That's correct. And I have Orion Oxford Eagles, the American Legion in Oxford, and in Orion here. They help me financially.
Right.
You know.
And
the
who
rest,
comes to the picnic?
Almost everybody.
I didn't last
No,
year.
well,
I got in
but you
trouble.
had something, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's there's a lot of officials that come
Right.
there.
It's a great. It's something that deserves a lot of credit. So
Yeah.
So now are you? And talk a little bit about. I know you've been involved in all kinds of stuff in our community since then. Some of the other things that you've done that got you on the radar with the parade group, at least, to pick you as a Citizen of the Year, that you don't always talk about, but. Boys and Girls Club?
Boys and Girls Club, yeah. I sat on the board of directors of that for, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years.
Right.
I was on Optimist Club. I was a director on Optimist Club, the Chamber. There's a couple more. I just can't remember all of them.
The Eagles, which you mentioned.
Oh, yeah,
Orion
the
Oxford
Eagles.
Eagles are still.
I'm still there.
Still
yeah.
active there.
Yeah. I think this is the last year. I've been saying that for the last 12 years. So
tell me about maybe one of the best, one of maybe your best moments in SCAMP, or something that the community thing that you've done that really is a highlight for you in your life.
Well,
I know you're just hitting your prime here.
yeah, the SCAMP, we had a fishing contest. You probably, I don't even want to talk about buying them rods and everything. But the one fellow there, he come in, and my son, he made these like cue stick racks, full table,
Yeah.
and with all these fishing
yeah.
rods. And this guy come
Out of
up.
pool cues? So
No. But I'm saying the racks. He had all these fishing rods there,
Gotcha.
and this one guy come in, he threw the rod down in front of my son, and my son said, "What's wrong?" And he said, it's broke. And he said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "Won't catch no fish." Then he grabbed another rod, and somebody down at the Elks has this on camera. He cast that thing into the water over there, and that sinker and hit the water, and a bluegill jumped on that hook. And this is a fact. And he come out there and looked like, who is the man, And it was so hot, he carried that fish around all day.
That's funny.
I mean, he was so happy.
That's cool. So most of these campers are special needs.
They're special needs,
Right.
all of them.
So how can people help if they're interested? Or one, let's say they have a special needs child. How do they get their kid involved? In SCAMP?
That they have to call SCAMP. I have nothing to do with that.
Okay.
And
I know I just Googled SCAMP and it came up. SCAMP, Clarkston, Michigan, I think, and it came up. But what if people they need probably lots of volunteers and donations?
Yeah, and we have 200, I think somewhere around 250 all the time, and there's probably about 70 volunteers.
Really?
That that help the kids.
That's amazing.
And they're young kids, college kids. They do a beautiful job.
That's really amazing. How about the camp takes place in our neighboring community, Independence?
Yes.
Don't want to say that too loud.
Well, that's one of the premier places. Is Independent Oaks is really
It's
a
a nice park.
Nice park.
It is a great park.
And facilities are so nice. When the first time we went there, I called Brooks Patterson up. He's a good friend of mine, and I complimented him on the facilities.
Yeah.
And it's a real nice park.
So that's amazing. Tell me, kind of as we wrap here, what's your future hold for you? What are you working on now? I know you never retire. But
No, I'm not sure yet. I just got a few things going. This is what some of the kids they make their own cards, thank you cards. They don't buy nothing, and I probably have 1,500 of them over.
Really?
It's absolutely great. Look at that.
That's amazing.
And there was never a card that was bought.
Really?
They make them all. And I have a sheet somewhere a whole sheet that they signed 1 year. That thing is about 10 years ago.
So that's the reward right there.
That's the reward.
Absolutely.
And I don't know what I'm going to do with all these, but I mean, you can't throw them away. You know?
Listen, hey, I like affirmation. That's one of the, there's 5 love languages, and affirmation is one of them.
Yeah.
Most guys like the affirmation, and it does. It keeps you going, right? You get somebody that just takes a second, writes a personal thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's enough to keep you going for the next couple of days normally.
Right, and everybody said, "What are you going to do?" I said, I told my kids, when Dad's all done with, and just going to put it up there and say he was a good guy.
That's right.
But I really enjoy working, and I work with both senior centers.
Yeah,
I was aboard at Orion. I was on the board of directors on that for a long time.
Right.
And Oxford Senior Center, same thing. And most of them people are gone. There was a couple in here I'd seen when we opened this thing up.
Right. Well, I've been here for about a year in this job, and there aren't many things I can't find your name on one way, shape, or form. Usually it's good. But
I hope so.
You've been involved in a lot, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to, I know you like to fly under the radar, but to recognize you for your efforts and the great things you've done in our community. And I know you're just still getting going. So
I have my whole family doing it. And where this started, way back, I grew up in Hamtramck, and we're very poor. And my dad, he was a state cop before my time, and then he worked in Dodge, Maine, and he started the Boys and Girls Club of Hamtramck and North Detroit.
No kidding.
Yeah, I started way back then.
Wow. Well, anyway, thanks so much. I appreciate your time. And John Spokaeski, one of the great Orion Township residents. Stay tuned for our next segment where we welcome Ken Nuss, principal of Orion Oaks Elementary.
Hey, this is Mickey York from Fox Sports Detroit. When I want to get the inside scoop on local sports, I watch Between Terminus or Fox Sports Detroit.
Welcome back. I'm so glad to welcome my next guest, Ken Nuss, the principal of Orion Oaks Elementary, which is, in my opinion, the best elementary in Orion Township because my 3 daughters went there. But also, he's kicking off in a really amazing program that I am just pumped about. So, Ken, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And so I want to just kind of jump right into it. First of all, you're the principal at Orion Oaks, which is
right.
Yep, Orion Oaks, right across the street here. It's the multi-age school,
right.
The 3 focus schools in Lake Orion, and I agree with you. I think it's the best school in Lake Orion. But we're lucky here in Lake Orion because we give parents a choice.
Right.
In a lot of districts, you have your neighborhood schools, and it might not meet your child's needs. But here we have schools like Orion Oaks, which is again the multi-age school that really meets needs for parents and for kids. So we do a lot of special things there, and this program is another one of those things to hopefully make us even better.
Right, and that's one of my favorite things about our district too. Is when we moved here, we picked the community because of the schools, which a lot of families do, especially younger families. And then we found a house here because we knew we wanted the school district. Then we found a house, and my wife did that. I can't take any credit, but she went school shopping, which is again, it's a luxury we have here in Orion. And was able to find out that we thought Orion Oaks was the best fit, and it was. Our 3 girls are thriving, all because of Orion Oaks Elementary.
Fantastic. I'm sure we have a lot to do with that.
Absolutely.
For sure.
All right, so what I want to talk to you about, what I'm really excited about is talk to me about, you guys are a Leader in Me school.
Yes.
What in the world is that?
Yes, and we're heading to what we call Lighthouse School. But the Leader in Me is a program, and it's all after a program that was begun after the best-selling book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that is very popular in the business community and in the corporate world. And it's by Stephen Covey.
Okay.
And that book develops habits, the 7 habits of highly effective people. And really what Franklin Covey did, along with Sean Covey and his family, they came up with this program for students, because if these are great programs for kids to have as adults to be successful, well, why start them as adults? Why don't we bring them up, with these fantastic habits, the 7 habits, and so they can be successful as students as they grow up, and give them more tools. And really what they've called it is the Leader in Me, and they have a couple of books. In the book that this is taken from is called The Leader in Me, and really what it's about is developing leaders. When I took over the job at in 3 years ago from Brian Kaplan, he told me that Orion Oaks is a good school. There's a lot of success there, but you know what? We could be even better. And I took that to heart, and I said, you know what? That's a fantastic opportunity. Every place, of course, can be better, but we have such supportive parents. We have such great staff. The kids are fantastic in this great community. I also moved here because of the schools. That what can we do to really help the community and really take us to the next level? And some of my teachers actually were the ones who turned me on to this because they were made aware of it. There's a school in Waterford who had adopted the program, and their children actually go to Orion Oaks. And so we started looking into it, and a couple of our teachers really kept pushing this to me. And I said, you know what, I'm going to take a look at it, and we did it, and it is just fantastic. So really what it's all about is building leaders, creating leaders, and that's tough to argue with. In today's day and age, in the competitive markets in the world, in the community, what's going to set kids apart to really be successful? And that's really being leaders, and that's what this works on. We are in this program that works on the building leaders through 7 habits, and it's part of everything we do in our school, transforming our school, not taking away from all the wonderful multi-age things we do in our school, but adding on to it to take us to that next level.
That is, and I mean, like, I literally, when I first heard about this in a different meeting, I could just feel my heart beating, like, this is awesome. This is what, and so all your staff that took on this challenge, they're getting paid extra money, right?
Yeah, no, they're not being paid any extra money. In fact, the training is quite extensive, and it's not a cheap program. It's a pretty pricey program that we've had a lot of people working hard. Our staff, our family network, which is our version of our PTO, PTA, working hard with fundraising and donating money that may have gone to other things like playground equipment, those sorts of things, kind of putting that on hold because they knew that this is just a good thing for kids, and they want their kids to grow up to be leaders. And I think they already were, but I think this really gives them a lot more tools. And so we've had a tremendous amount of support from our parents and from central administration. Mrs. Janopoulos and Mrs. Cast were very important in this, and we got all of their support. And now it's become a part of how we do business. Everything we do is incorporating the 7 habits, and all of our kids are looked on as being leaders. And that's really the premise of the whole program, is that all kids can be leaders. All people can be leaders, and we just have to bring that out in them.
I know the 7 habits because I've read the book, and I'm a big fan of Stephen Covey. Tell me, how does this play out in a first or second or 5th grade student that you see on a day-to-day basis? What changes are you seeing since the beginning of the year? What are some of the, and I know you've talked to me a little bit about it, but share some of maybe the stories or some of the wins you would share. Yeah,
well, that's been some of the real exciting parts of it, is seeing the kids embody this. And we're not talking about just our 5th graders. Obviously, our building is K through 5. Actually, we have pre-K in there, and they're also working on the program themselves because it's just good stuff for kids, good stuff for humans, not just children. But one common way you would see by talking to the kids is the common vocabulary of these habits. The other day I had a kid, a student, a 2nd grader, come and talk to me about synergizing. And to hear a 2nd grader using a word like synergizing, it was amazing to me. We've had some disputes, as sometimes happens, for instance, on the bus, and the students, as I'm talking to them to resolve the issue, many times have already resolved it, but they talk about thinking win-win and thinking with the end in mind, and I was trying to be proactive, those sorts of things. One of the fabulous things about the program, and it's not just creating leaders, it's giving them tools to how to handle with life situations, and it works in every part of the school, every part of their lives. For instance, academically, yes, we went to the program because we saw the statistics and how it improves grades, achievement. Obviously, that's very important, but it also helps them socially to deal with issues. It helps our behavior. The behavior referrals have gone significantly down because everyone is on the same page. Everybody knows what's acceptable, what's not. In a typical classroom, the teachers are consistently referring to all of the habits. So again, it becomes part of their vocabulary. There are also lessons that go along with each of them to enforce them. There's a book also we can use as a reference that I have here that I know you'll show, called The 7 Habits of Happy Kids. That's putting it in kids' language. So when they're reading stories, as obviously we do a lot lot in school. Reading is a main focus. We're always tying those stories into the 7 habits. And the books that they're already reading, we discuss the stories, we discuss the characters, and we discuss the habits at the same time. What if this character would have been more proactive? Putting first things first, students turning in their homework. They talk about putting first things first, work first, then you'll have time to play later. And I wish I had a lot of those habits, because that's still difficult for me today. But I'm getting it just as the kids are. So this isn't just something for the students, it's for the staff as well. And we will see it in our data. And that's one of the things that really, our school is very data driven, just as all the schools in Lake Orion are, which is a great thing. It drives what we do, because we want to make sure what we're doing, we're getting the biggest bang for our buck, and then ultimately, we're helping kids be as successful students and then ultimately adults. And so the data is showing, and of course it's early now, it's a 2-year process to become what you call a lighthouse school, where you are certified as a leadership school. It's my goal and our staff's goal and our students' goal. We are all on the same page, that we want to be a multi-age leadership school. Orion Oaks, where leaders are born. And that's not a bad, slogan there, but that's what we want to do. Yeah, well, right now our right now, and that's part of it also. It all ties in with our mission statement. We reworked our mission statement for it. Our slogan that we go by, that we are inspiring greatness together. One of the neat things about Orion Oaks is that we do a lot of things together. It's a very collaborative school, much like skills for the 21st century that we need to teach kids. Very few decisions are made on your own now. It's very collaborative. You work with a team, and that's what our kids do. And that's what we're trying to do, is inspire greatness together. And we do that through the common vocabulary and through all the habits that we embody every day.
Well, it's amazing. I know the 3 R's are important, and I know the shift. I know the focus on Common Core and all these things and these buzzwords now, but I can't think of anything more important than developing leadership qualities in elementary age students, because I know, just with having 3 daughters of my own and constantly trying to inspire them to be leaders and to and take initiative and to be organized, and all the things you're teaching these students is just invaluable life skills that I get a hunch, when these people are in their 30s are going to be in a board meeting and think synergize and
they'll be
what's
using,
the win-win.
That's right. They'll be using these skills that they were taught in elementary school. It will stay with them the rest of their lives and hopefully lead to fantastic habits beyond Orion Oaks. That's for sure.
And even like you mentioned, the behavioral referrals are down. I mean, that's just a huge metric to say, all right, what did we do? What's changed? Well, obviously we're teaching students about life skills.
That's exactly right. And a big part of the program also, when you embody the 7 habits, you're taking responsibility for yourself, your actions, your own learning. Part of the program that we're implementing over this next year, and we've already started, is the students taking ownership of their learning by keeping track of their progress, and the class as a whole setting goals and making sure that they know right where they're at. We're creating data binders, data walls that show, and again, when I say data, that's just not the 3 R's. We're also talking about behavior and those sorts of things, because we want to show steady improvement, and we're certainly seeing that. You can see it in the hallways and the interactions between the kids. And a lot of it's about expectations. The habits certainly set some good expectations, but again, these are life expectations, not for Orion Oaks. It's my hope that this program grows, that we show how fantastic it is through what we're doing at Orion Oaks, that it can spread throughout the rest of the district. Certainly the Orion Oaks, we are the largest school in Lake Orion for elementary schools, so that makes me feel good because we're affecting as many kids as we possibly can. If it were up to me, I'd get as many kids in the Orion Oaks as possible, just because I think it's such a great thing for kids. But these kids are going to end up going out into the community with these leadership skills, and again, we can never have enough leaders.
Yeah, and that's my desire too. Obviously, there's a lot of things that play into that, but to see this become a district-wide and even a community-wide initiative, I mean, I could see our local businesses buying into it and really kind of creating a pattern of leadership throughout our whole community that could just be reverberated from generation to generation. And how ironic that it's our youngest generation that's kind of leading the charge. So,
that's right.
Well, please keep us posted.
We will.
Thank you for visiting. Thanks for your time, and thank you most importantly for your leadership at Orion Oaks and for our next generation, because it's huge. So
yeah, we appreciate your leadership.
Keep up
as
the great
well.
work.
And
Thanks
it's
for
a
coming.
wonderful community. It
Absolutely.
is.
All right, great.
All right, thank you very much.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Michael Crank. And we're back. Thank you for joining us for our last segment today. I'm pleased to welcome Michael Crank of Crank's Catering. Really excited about this announcement, but Orion Township has partnered with Crank's Catering at the Orion Center to be our preferred caterer and really help us get the community center kicked off the ground so we can start doing more weddings and banquets and things like that. So, Michael, welcome. Tell me a little bit about Crank's Catering.
Well, Crank's Catering is a family business that started out in the Warren area back in 1989 with just one guy, my uncle, with a dream to just blow people's minds, basically, just throw great events with great food and this unbelievable presentation. And it started out as one party, which escalated now into about 2,000 parties a year, just off-site.
Wow, that's amazing. So we went through a process. We kind of put you guys through the ringer as well as other companies, and we went out for competitive bids, and Cranks came back with the best proposal, not only for the township, but for the people that are going to use your services. So we're just starting right now, the beginning of the year, and you're booking some events now, right?
Yeah, it's extremely fresh, but we are really picking up. Everyone here at Orion Township has done a great job in really pushing the venue. I mean, it's not hard to sell when it's such a beautiful venue like you guys have here.
Well, I think I agree with you, but we do, we are trying to shift people's minds to at least consider having their events here at the community center, and our staff is the best, but we don't, we're not experts at throwing big parties, so that's where you guys come in and can really help us. So tell me some of the things you guys have in mind as far as working with Orion Township and not only here at the community center, but maybe some of our outside venues and things like that.
I mean, our main goal and dreams is sort of put this place on the map as an actual event center. We want people to not just think of the Orion Center as a senior center or community center, but to actually picture it as an event center. And then also using the parks out there as well. I mean, there's so many opportunities. Outdoor weddings are really big right now, and we feel like if we put up some pavilions and use the pavilions you already have and just give an elegant approach, and overall we're about community, and we think the best place to have a wedding will be right in your backyard in Orion Township. You guys have the facilities, and we have the expertise. We've done all sorts of parties from the normal $10 person party all the way up to a party for Kid Rock. So we can basically do it all, and I think Orion Township has all the potential to be amazing. You don't have to be a rich superstar to have an amazing event. Anyone can do it.
Thank you very much. And that concludes this exciting episode of Orion Now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. Stay warm. We'll see you soon.